Okay, I want to say welcome, guys. Hello again. It's another quick Wing Chun lesson. Okay, Wing Chun or Yung Chun in Mandarin Chinese. It's a simple thing. I want to explain a few points. Okay, number one, when you're in this kind of position, okay, like this is not a pose. It's not a pose. Okay, whether you're like this or whether you're like this, it's from the front like this. Okay, a lot of people don't understand. They say, "Show me the Wing Chun pose." This is not a pose. Can you do that? Okay, putting this hand forward because you think, maybe some people I'm saying they think that it comes from Ye Wen, which is a Yip Man, okay, Yip Man or Ye Wen. Okay, this is not what it is. Okay, it's not a pose. Okay, first of all, the style of Wing Chun, okay, Yung Chun goes back in history. There's a whole history about this story. It was invented by a woman. It was not invented by Bruce Lee. It was not invented by Yip Man. Okay, when it was actually invented by a woman, and there's a whole story if you look this up. Okay, and I'm not going to go into that story right now. There is a story. I could stand here and tell you the story, and it's very, very fascinating. I'll just give you a little bit of a brief description there. In brief, it was based on. It has Shaolin origins, but it has more origins in terms of a woman who was trying to defend herself against a much stronger, bigger opponent. It was developed, okay? There's a simple style with simple techniques, and also it was based on the movements of a snake and a crane that were actually fighting two animals too. The snake, as you know, being direct, and the crane with its wings deflecting. But I'm not going to talk about that here because, as you know, I have other videos on the animal systems of Kung Fu to show. Now back to this, if I'm not confusing you here. This is not a pose, okay? This is a guard. Another thing I want to, it's a basic fighting stance guard, okay? So is this one, okay? And whether you've got the fingers together or slightly open, okay? Two different versions there. There are other versions you may see where the hands may be low like this because you can adjust your height, as I say, okay? But this is, and other ones too, like slightly on the side and things like this. But the fact it remains, it's a guard. It's a guarding. It's in Kung Fu, it's called the bridge, okay? The bridge in all Kung Fu systems, whether it be Hung Gar, okay, Hong Quan, or other martial arts, like with the tiger and the crane. It's a guard. So what that is you have this bridge where you put your hands out, hand to hand, or let's say wrist to wrist, forearm to forearm, and it's about sensitivity. So you test not only the hard and the soft sensitivity in the arms for the blocking. It's that bridge, it's that shield between you and the opponent. So how you're placing your hands and your arms with your elbows and everything, it's your guard. Okay, and you've got this front hand here and the back hand here for an extra defense. So when this hand is doing techniques like punching, I'm looking at the camera here, you should look forward and use your peripheral vision. But when you're doing a technique like a punch, back fist, whatever it is, or fighting, you might even be blocking or whatever it is, when the opponent, if someone blocks your hand and grabs your hand and pulls it down, and they're going to try and strike, I've still got this backhand here to defend against their hand, is what it is. Rather than having my hand down here, and when the person pulls my arm away, they hit me in the face or down with it. So I've got another hand here. So when we're doing these punches, such as the infamous chain punch, you do that chain punch, which is a rolling punch, either doing it straight like this or rolling over like this, which is slightly angled. It's a different version, but I usually have this straight version, okay? And I've explained this in my seminar video I did recently. And there's a correct way to punch too, don't forget, when you're punching, okay, and you don't go completely straight like this, locking it up, okay? And you relax your shoulder, okay? Relax your shoulders. And when you're punching, the elbow's slightly down, and as I said, there's a guard here. There's a space between your body and this, about a fist to a fist and a half. This is here, straight on the centre, in line with the spine. Not covering your face, you can't see. It's down here. There's a small circle of basically defence. And you're there, and basically, when you punch, you go. It's not completely straight. There's still a bit of a roundedness there. This is a close quarters combat system of self-defense, Wing Chun. Okay, And what I was going to say is this backhand is always here. So whether it's like a fist getting ready for the next punch, like if I'm throwing a punch and then the guy blocks my hand down, the next one can go straight in. So as he blocks it, this goes straight in. And this hand is always back here. You don't want to have two hands out here. So he's taking your arms. You want to make sure that whatever this hand's doing, my other hand's back here and he can't touch it. So I'm controlling his hands or striking in, hitting. Okay, this hand's here, he can't touch it. So when I'm changing, immediately the hands come back here, whether it's like this or whether it's like this. Now this upward palm position hand here, okay, is also seen when we're doing various blocks, like the inner block here and the outer block. You know, now I'm not going to use I'm using the English terminology here, just using that. I could give you the names in Chinese, but I'm just giving you the basics here, okay? So we've got basic blocks where we're using our hands. We've got other blocks too, such as the jamming block here. It's also sometimes classed as a jamming block, where if we're fighting and someone pulls the arm down and they come to hit, I can also use my elbow to stick in a close quarters range to stick there, blocking, okay? And we've got, as I say, 3 points, 1, 2, and 3, the same as the shoulders, 1, 2, and 3, the centre line here, which we're always protecting. If someone puts the pressure here, I'm going to be relaxed and soft, okay? So if I'm like this, so if I'm fighting and my elbows here, usually the elbows are kept down, but if someone puts that there, this hand's going to come up and attack. Someone pulls my arm or brings it down, I can use my elbow to strike him too. Now what I'm going to show you here is this other version, which is a turning one, which looks like this. You may have seen it a lot. I'll show you from the side here. Turning. This one, which is an angled one here, okay? This is a block also. So someone's going to hit me, rather than sticking and stopping them, jamming them, I'm absorbing the energy. So if someone punches, I'm basically rolling with this. You can do it slightly lower too, but we've got a higher version here. And this hand's on top here. So I guide with my arm to divert the energy, his punch, and then my other hand can take this can block or like take away the guy's arm. And on top of that, I can come with a back fist or a chop, or the same for a low one there. So I can, like, for example, block, and then my two arms together, not touching but almost touching. They act like a wall, and it's like that. Okay, not like this, but like that, and it's diagonal. So I turn my waist slightly. So from the front, if I'm here and you come to punch me, I turn, but I don't let this elbow go past my center, because you can hit me here. You can put one hand here, and push me and control. So you don't want to usually lift up your elbows, which brings me to my next point in a moment. As I turn, and I can take your arm and hit you low, or pull your arm down and hit high. Don't let the elbow be floating away. Keep that elbow close too, so I can lock his arm or stick. You want to bring your elbows together, and the elbows are what give the hands power when you're blocking or when you're striking, even with palm strikes. Your elbows are good guards always, okay? Now with this block here, I want to mention something. It's not good for blocking swings, okay? If someone's going to throw a swing hook punch, I don't want to do this necessarily. That being said, you can use any method to block. It doesn't matter. You have to be free and natural in your movements, not just be stuck to a style like rigid or Wing Chun now. You have to be able to move like a natural human being. And if you want to utilize boxing or whatever you want to use and cover, you can do this kind of thing, yes. But to lift this elbow up here to block a swing on the outside is not the best thing. You're also opening your rib cage for attacks. So it's not really meant for blocking on the inside. This is meant for a straight punch. If someone's going to punch towards my body or face, I absorb. Okay? And the same for this side. So you're going to hit me here, I'm here. See? Simple movements. Even without moving my steps here, I can pretty much defend and turn, see? But what it is, you come back on that centre here. Blocking with the wrists and the forearms keeps your hands free too. And don't always hold fists. You want to make sure that your hands are open sometimes to do different techniques, grabbing and different things, okay? Now, if you want to block against a swing, as I've said, someone's going to do a swing, you can do these close kind of blocks, yes, but you can also block on the side like this, blocking, twisting, not against the inside of the elbow, because the hand can still come around and get you, but twisting out like this. It's like a triangle on the angle. with your hands opening up from the inside and then blocking out on the side with your forearm against the guy's forearm, and you can come and strike in. But what I was saying is in Wing Chun we have like these rolling kind of techniques with the palms too, and sometimes we chop straight out like this, chopping straight, okay, chopping straight. Chopping straight. So this is here. Don't trap yourself up. Remember, the hand always comes back on top ready, okay? We can do under strikes too and things like under punches, but usually we go on top with the techniques. This palm can palm down and block his hands as I'm doing the technique. I can also parry, block, and strike him. I can also chop here with my knife edge of the palm and also the forearm here to block as he's coming. Same with the back fist too. When I'm rolling with that back fist attack, not just across, but coming over on an angle, kind of on the angle here. So that here, as I'm doing this, my forearms are also blocking against his arms. So when I do this, okay, if someone's going to do a swing punch, I can simply move slightly out with that chopping motion I'm doing to the head or the neck there. I can also just move that slightly out and chop against his arm. You control the range, even though it's all close range combat Wing Chun, you still can control the range, like slightly, moving slightly to the left, to the right, up slightly or low. Okay, you work it, okay? We've also got these low chopping ones here. Notice how I always keep this hand up high here. I can keep this guard, so if someone's going to throw an attack, I can parry, move it. You could be like doing boxing kind of movements where you're moving too, but in Wing Chun we usually stay on the point there and use our hands to protect ourselves. You don't always need to cross that center line. Now I'm open, see, with my hands over here, open here, you can come in. When you do the rolling punch or the chain punch, don't always open that window so you can come in. Keep your elbows there, come over the top, and keep your movements simple. You can do a simple cupping block with your hand, cupping on top of the outside of the guy's hands here, and work those techniques too. When you bring this out, it's not a pose. This is a guard, okay? Here. Okay, it's not just a pose. I'm doing Wing Chun, no. And another thing I want to say, martial arts is not about ego. Stand strong, as I say, your hips in line. Sometimes you might turn slightly. Usually you're fighting on the face on here with the shoulders. Knees slightly tucked in to guard your groin, okay? And your feet flat on the floor, strong, comfortable. Bend your knees naturally. When you're in a side-on stance like this, like here, you put more of the weight on the front, on the back leg, so your front leg can easily be lifted to do other techniques. You can punch, you can do elbow strikes like that, but don't always go past your center line is the main thing. Don't be too low or too high either, because they can hit you. Don't cross your hands up. Use your elbows to guard your center. Use your elbows to also guard your rib cage if you can, things like that. Okay? And these rolling techniques are useful. Relax, study more about Wing Chun, Wing Chun, and study more about the philosophy of yin and yang. Okay, it's very important. There's a lot of history, and it's not about posing, it's about directness. The shortest distance between 2 points will always be a straight line. Look into the different ways that different martial arts teachers do teach and different masters do learn. But I'm saying it's not about ego. There's some people out there that flash their muscles, or just because they're wearing the traditional garments, the traditional Wing Chun outfit or Kung Fu outfit. I don't care if they're Westerners or Chinese or whatnot. When you learn about traditional, true martial arts, as I've studied in my life, not boasting, I just know what I know, limitedly. I know my whole life I've been studying different martial arts, but it's not about ego. You might have some funky tattoos or a ponytail or a beard or whatever kind of style you want to have, but it's not about that image. It's not about that image, okay? And it's not about how hard or how fast you can punch, okay? Either. It's not about show at all. Just going up to someone, doing a chain punch to someone's head, just going punching, going in, on all this, and then doing the movement for the sake of it. Oh, this is Wing Chun. This is Wing. It's not about that, okay? That's not what it's about. And you're going to block a swing like this. You can block a technique anyway, but think practically. And don't be stuck within the boundaries or like give yourself like walls and boundaries of a certain system. Make sure you understand, okay? So if you can fight on the side, do a karate, kick, whatever it is, a bit of boxing, if it's a crane block from crane kung fu, whatever, it works. I mix in some Tai Chi training with my training too. I might go in with the tiger and still be doing my Wing Chun system. You know, you might be doing basic boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai. It's up to you. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of people out there that call themselves Sifu or Shiva, okay, master. And it's just words. Some of these people, like Young, say it's not about a show, okay? This is a mastery of martial arts. Someone doesn't need to advertise and show off. It's not about how tough you are. Even if you're a great fighter, it doesn't matter how much you think you know, even the lineage. Kung Fu is about an attitude. It makes you a better person. Okay, if something's so good, you don't need to advertise it. It's about living a peaceful life. But you need to study what you're doing as well. If you just practice martial arts, it's like, and you're not becoming a more natural person, I believe you're not really becoming the best martial artist, because Kung Fu is all about the Tao. It's about yin and yang. So you want to become a better person in a human way, a human being way. Okay, thank you for watching this. Train hard and stay safe. I'm just a humble person who's put my life into studying some martial arts. So I'm, thanks for watching. Yeah, peace. Remember, in Wing Chun, as I say, we don't always lift our legs up and do too many kicks either. We've got low and mid-level kicks. If you see someone doing fancy spinning movements and jumping high kicks and stuff like that, or and all this other stuff, like funky stuff, and all this kind of phony stuff, even talking too much. I'm talking a lot in this video, fair enough. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like, that's not the way of martial arts. It's not the way of Kung Fu. I'm really better off doing MMA. And how can I say, there's a shorter path to the ground,